Hey guys, it's Graphology here, bringing you another TU15 Division 2 updated build. This one is focused mainly for legendary content. So if you're running legendary 4-man missions, Tidal Basin, District Union, Roosevelt Island, Capital, or if you're looking to go into Summit and run the Summit, this can help you immensely with your group, especially if no one else is running any build like this. It is a CC skill build that is focused mainly on controlling ads and allowing them not to shoot back at you. So if you're running with 3 other DPSers that are in reds, say the Heartbreaker, for example, a lot of people are running Heartbreaker now. This allows them to really focus on getting their stacks up and mowing down the mobs. You're not going to be top damage on the meters by any means, but with that being said, you're going to be helping your group CC the targets so that they're not running around and advancing on you, and you'll be able to lock them down so that you can pop up and do some damage as well. So let's get right into the build here. It's a survivalist build. You're going to be using survivalist mainly for the flame grenades as another form of CC tick damage, as well as the status buff. Any mobs that you put a status effect on will take 10% damage from all of your teammates that are near you. So it's very important. This is all status effect oriented. There are 2 exotics that you need to farm for this build. They're not a must, but it definitely makes this build a hell of a lot better. That is the Scorpio Shotgun and the Vile Headset. Vile Headset basically puts another status buff on targets once you kill a mob. And because we're using the Eclipse Protocol, that debuff will also spread to all of the other targets that get all of your other status debuffs. So although the vial's not required, you could also use BTSU gloves, or you could just use, say, a golden piece here. If you can't get anything else, anything with the skill tier is fine. But just know that the vial is the preferred, setup. So the Scorpio Shotgun, basically, if you use it, you shoot a bunch of pellets into one mob. As you shoot the mob more and hit your shots, they gain all of these debuffs. And if that mob dies, it spreads to all the other mobs with the Eclipse Protocol. Eclipse Protocol, the 4 set is your status effects now spread to all targets within 10 meters, refresh 50% of the duration. Okay, because we're using both the backpack and the chest piece, the backpack gains all damage dealt to the status effect mobs by 30%. All right, so that's 30% for all of your teammates doing damage. And then on top of that, your Eclipse Protocol, it increases the range to 15 meters from the kill target, and it increases the refresh to 75%. So both set pieces on these, the chest plate and the backpack, definitely brings a lot more utility to your group, especially the backpack. Increasing the damage on those status effect mobs to 30% increased damage is insane, considering what the Heartbreaker, if your teammates are running Heartbreaker, what that can bring to the table. The last piece I like to run, it's a golden gear set, so you want to try to farm this because the first set bonus is a status effect increase. So the thing about Golan is they roll with a blue as their core attribute. So you want to try to re-roll this core attribute into a skill tier. It's actually a must for this build. So the main thing that you're focusing on is this Golan gear. You need to try to get status effect to roll. Now I happen to get a status effect and a skill haste, which is like perfect for this build. I mean, they're not optimized, obviously, but basically I have 8.5 more status effect than most of these builds, can have. So that adds up. But yeah, you want to re-roll this core attribute from a blue to a skill tier, all right? Everything else will come skill tier, so everything else, the 4 pieces, you're going to re-roll into status effect, all right? And then for the mods, for all 3 mods, you either want to put skill haste or skill duration. Both of those will help out, and that's getting to the skills next. So the skills that you want to do, so there can be some variance here. So the most OP thing to use on this build is the Riot Foam Chem Launcher. And if you notice, And snare duration with 6 tier and then any duration stacks you get is 18 seconds on the mobs that you hit. So essentially, you shoot this out at the start of the fight. If you can get this to where they spawn, everything is going to be locked down for 18 seconds. On top of that, you already put a status effect on the target, so your vial's going to kick in and start doing some damage. The mobs are locked down. They will not attack you when they're in riot foam. So they're just going to stand there and they're going to be like, oh my god, what's happening to me? And everybody in your group is just going to be able to stand up and unload on those targets. All right. So I can't stress enough how much this duration is especially in legendary mode. You can do this to essentially everything but the dogs. The dogs are the only things that will not get locked down from riot foam. The robotic dogs. You can switch out like a pulse, a jammer pulse, if you know you're going to be taking on the black tusks. That could be your secondary instead of this hive. So this hive right here, I'm running a stinger hive for the bleed and just straight up damage. You can also run, there's a couple things you can run. You can run the pulse with jammer. All right, and that can help out with the dog situation. If you know you're going to be taking on a lot of drones, for example, or you know that the dogs are going to be coming out, you can switch to that pulse. Or you can go, say, sticky bomb, and you could do the burn damage with a sticky bomb. That's going to have a burn of 13 seconds. You're going to have a 5-second cooldown on your sticky bomb, so it's essentially going to be up. You can rotate your sticky bomb and your shots. And ultimately keep them locked down and fire if they're all humanoid targets, all right? So if they're anything that isn't a robotic dog is going to be like, oh my god, I'm on fire, and everybody's going to fucking shoot at them, all right? And it's going to add up your damage. So the skills, again, to recap, Riot Foam Launcher, probably a must for most legendary content. If you want to go Firestarter instead, by all means, go ahead. But I would definitely consider doing Firestarter or Oxidizer as a backup. Oxidizer, again, is good for if you're doing robotic dogs. If you don't know what mob you're going to get, the Oxidizer is kind of like a neutral balance because it will DPS the dogs. I will say this, the Oxidizer does not CC. It just does straight damage. So it would probably be a third choice. I would either do Riot Foam or Firestar before I do an Oxidizer. Okay? And then your second choice will be the Hive with a Stinger. All right? Or you can run Pulse Jammer or a Sticky Bomb Fire. It's really up to you. It's what you want to make of it. But priority would be the Riot Foam, because the Riot Foam in Legendary missions is just too OP, especially with the 18 seconds that you get just from stacking status effects on all your stuff. And then the Scorpio, I kind of got into it. The Scorpio is just an added bonus after you Riot Foam stuff and you're able to fire because you are squishy in this build. The Riot Foam will get them locked down. The Scorpio, you can get that 7 stacks up. It will spread when that mob dies. And then the other weapon is, I have an Everlasting Gauge for the Perfect Perpetuation. Again, it's just going to increase that status effect and duration for the damage and the duration. And you can use it once every 16 seconds or 20 seconds, depending on if you have the perfect one on Everlasting Gaze, or if you just have it on any weapon, just get a headshot, and the next status thing you throw out is going to be good, all right? I would wait to use this until you use your Riot Foam and lock targets down, and then I would use it with your damaging skill. So, like, in this case, I would shoot with this and then use my Stinger Hive. That way the damage is increased by 50% more, all right? But yeah, that is essentially the build. Now I'm going to go over here. I will show maybe some, some examples in a legendary and heroic content with this. But essentially, you'd pull out your foam when the mobs come out, throw it down. You could switch to your stinger. I have my Scorpio out. They're locked down in that. Look at that foam spread on everything. Everything has a debuff. At this point, I'd have other teammates shooting at the mobs as well, so they would be getting that additional damage. Every time they kill anything, it jumps to everything else because it's your status effect, all right? So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the build helps out for any newer players that haven't seen this kind of stuff. If you do not have the Scorpio, just run anything with perpetuation and then just lock and load. You could switch it out with, say, like a spike for just the extra skill damage on your extra skill, you know, and get some extra damage in there, or just run the perpetuation and make sure that that's up 100% of the time when you can have it up. So in other words, when that 20 or 16 second cooldown comes up, just get that headshot immediately and roll the next thing. Your main focus, again, is locking down the targets. It's not about damaging. If you want to run this build as damage, I would do it in lower content, challenging, heroic content if you feel comfortable. But really, it would be more about locking down the targets. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy. I will put a little bit of examples in on real runs that I do with this build. It will be the same setup. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you liked it. If you didn't like it, leave a comment why, telling me what you could do better with this build, all right? But I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace. So we're just in a heroic mode right now. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of legendary missions being run, and the ones that I did got some pretty bad SHD levels. So, that being said,
we hear you.
So first thing I'm gonna do is rifle him. I apparently have some pretty bad aim with this rifle. There we go. Now we're gonna kill that yellow guy. Everybody else gets glorious. And then we can step up to the Scorpio. There we go. As you can see, it basically wiped out that entire group.